Eastern Europe ranks among the top European regions with a twisted, dark, and mysterious history that still stokes fear and strengthens superstitions amongst people. From the horrors of the World War to massacres, some locations in the region bear the markings of haunting mystery and a blanket of spookiness. In this video, we will be exploring the top 10 creepy and mysterious places in Eastern Europe. This is not fiction. These places exist just as you do. Before we count down, kindly hit the subscription button on our channel and ring the notification bell to be the first person to see more interesting videos like this. Number 10. Doftana Prison, Romania. This structure was raised in 1895 to serve the mining industry of the then Kingdom of Romania, but decades later it became home to political prisoners and atrocious acts. Although it is now in ruins, if you walk through the hallway of the cell blocks, the horrible history of the place becomes very tangible. The prison had 8 sections, marked A to H. Sections A through C were preserved for prisoners with shorter sentences and of great importance. These sections enjoyed the luxury of light and solid protection from cold, but this was not the case in the other 5 blocks, where the horror was as dark as the unlit cells. Section H was reputedly the death zone. This was where inmates were taken to face extreme punishment under terrible conditions. The place was exposed to cold and was deliberately flooded. The inmates were starved for days and lived with the oozing can of their feces. Most inmates did not survive Section H, and those who died in the prison were buried in unmarked graves at a makeshift cemetery. Number 9. Buzludzha Monument, Bulgaria. Sighting this abandoned monument from outside, you would easily mistake it for an unidentified flying object that has brought aliens to observe humans. But the dread that accompanies that thought would fester even more when you enter this ruined structure sitting on the central Balkan mountains. This building is circled with large black windows that, from the inside, resembles a cathedral, but without stained glasses. The ceiling hangs loose, and the walls bear worn-out artworks of figures that look like they contained spirit entities responsible for ruining the place. This used to be a memorial center for commemorating the events that led to the birth of the Bulgarian Social Democratic Party in 1891. But it was abandoned soon after its commission in 1981. Now it is a ghost hall whose eerie silence is only interrupted by the spooky sound of the wind breezing over the mountains. Number 8. Dax Island, Croatia. Located on the Croatian coast of the Adriatic Sea, Dax Island used to be home to a monastery and a source of inspiration for art until the massacre of 1944, when supposed sympathizers and Nazi collaborators were executed by communist partisans. Among the reported 49 people that were killed were the island's mayor and the priests at the San Franciscan monastery. After the massacre, the surviving residents of Daksa fled the place, and no one has returned there ever since. It is now a ghost island. Most of the structures have become derelict. You can only find the crumbling San Franciscan monastery, a lighthouse, and a few other buildings still standing. Legend has it that the island is now haunted by the souls of the massacred victims, and they will not rest until those responsible for their deaths meet the same fate. Whether this is true or not, the emptiness of the island proves that people who know of the place and its history are scared to visit there because of this superstition. The island is so feared that years after it was put up for sale, no one has shown interest to buy it, despite its idyllic beaches, hills, and the undervalued asking price the owners have placed on it. Number 7. Vila Rebar, Croatia. Vila Rebar is a ruinous mansion situated on the Medvednica mountain, outside of the Croatian city of Zagreb. The mansion was built in 1939, but later became the home of the infamous Croatian dictator, Ante Pavelic. The very paranoid Pavelic had built networks of tunnels underground the mansion, and now they are walls of disturbing graffiti that seek to depict the horror that happened here during the stay of Pavelic. The tunnels, which are now semi-ruined, are blanketed with spooky silence and are the inspiration for countless ghost stories. Number 6. Hills of Crosses, Lithuania. In the Lithuanian city of Šiauliai is a hill that represents the hope, faith, and freedom of the Lithuanian people, but it carries a legend that suggests it was built on a dark history. The Hills of Crosses, as its name implies, is home to thousands of crosses and a 15-foot statue of Jesus. There have been different stories as to the origin of this place. One story that creepily sticks to most people is that of the monks of a medieval church who were buried under the site after a devastating storm destroyed their monastery with them in it. Later in the 14th century, the residents of Šiauliai began placing crosses on the site to prevent the ghost of the monks from haunting the town. While we may consider the monk's story as one of many made-up legends, it is very clear that this place has a spiritual force behind it, as it is proven to be indestructible. Before the collapse of the USSR, the Soviet Union destroyed the place 4 times, but after each time, people from all parts of Lithuania carried more crosses to the place. From a distance, it is so easy to mistake the place for a cemetery, though it is now an active sacred place for meditation and commemoration. Thank you for hanging on as we journey to these creepy places in Eastern Europe. Our next destination is actually the last place you would want to get spooked, but it is undeniably very creepy. Want to find out? Stay tuned. Number 5. Bones Church, Czech Republic. In the suburb of Sedlec, located in Kutna Hora, is the Cemetery Church of All Saints. This cemetery looks normal from the outside, but a tour inside will take you to an underground chapel and an ossuary, where bones, actual bones, throw stares at you. You must be wondering why there are so many bones in a church. According to history, the site used to be a cemetery belonging to a monastery. Not only was it just a cemetery, but it was one of the most popular ones in Europe. Then, in the 14th century, the Church of All Saints was built beside it, alongside an ossuary. But in 1421, the church was attacked and burned to the ground. Years later, when the church decided to rebuild the chapel, they were forced to move over 60,000 corpses from their graves to give space for the construction. This was when they were forced to build the ossuary with bones because they were too many. These bones are used on pillars on entryways, and there are a bunch of skeletons that formed a chandelier. Legend has it that the bone decoration was made by a surviving blind monk who, after placing the bones, was rewarded with sight. Although the Bones Church isn't haunted, we don't pray you get lost in the chapel only to end up in the ossuary, alone with the bones. Number 4. Castel Rezel, Poland. Stories of Poland's dark past are not complete without the events that occurred in the town of Reszel in the 1800s, when the town was unfortunately burned. The suspect, Barbara Zedunk, who was accused of arson, was taken to the castle where she was tortured and repeatedly raped. She would later give birth to 2 children and then be burnt to death. And until today, the residents of the town believe that this red neo-Gothic building is haunted by the ghosts of Barbara and her 2 children. Visitors have reported strange experiences in the building, like being touched by a spiritual force and finding locked doors opened. Are the souls of Barbara and her children not resting in peace? Why don't you go find out? Number 3. Devil's Throat Cave, Bulgaria. In Bulgaria, Devil's Throat Cave holds a mystery that seems impossible to unravel. The cave, located on the Rhodope Mountain, is named the Devil's Throat for 2 reasons. The first reason is that its entrance very much resembles a demonic face, and the other is the thunderous sound produced by the waterfall sourced from the Tigrid River. The depth of the fall is referred to as the length of the Devil's Throat. Even more terrifying is the fact that nothing that passes through the 155-foot tunnel in the cave ever comes out. This phenomena has defied science and has made the cave a very scary place to venture into. Number 2. Hunyad Castle, Romania. Multiple mysterious events have reportedly happened here over the years, one of which is the story of Turkish prisoners who were promised freedom if they finished digging a well in the castle. It happened that the prisoners were denied freedom even after they dug the hole, and they would later be killed. After their death, Quranic verses appeared on the well. It was a lamentation of how the prisoners suffered in the hands of their oppressors. The strange occurrences didn't stop there. There have been multiple discoveries of human bones that keep reappearing at the bottom of the well. Number 1. Hoia Bashu Forest, Cluj Napoca, Romania. If you've never seen a black forest before, then you should hold your heart with both hands when visiting the Hoia Bashu Forest, located in Transylvania, Romania. From the strange tales to the appearance of the forest, Hoya Bashu is exactly the nightmare that chases sleep away from you. Your approach to this forest is met with its gnarly, bent trees and a very murky atmosphere. Visitors who are brave enough to walk into the forest often come out with a chilling feeling that an unknown entity was trailing them. There is a clearing in the middle of the forest where nothing grows, and despite scientific investigations, there is still no explanation for it. Among the many creepy tales originating from the forest was that of a 5-year-old girl who went missing in the forest, only to return years later without a memory of where she had been. Thanks for sticking with us on this journey. If you are brave enough, you can visit any of these mentioned locations physically. We would like to know when you decide on that. Do well to use the comment section and tell us the place that creeps you the most. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and also like and share the video with your folks with similar interests. Until next time.